Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight. The state of the Democrat Party. That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. Last night in South Carolina, the three Democrat candidates debated the state of the union. With all due respect to Martin O'Malley, he has no chance, so I'll focus on Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders. Truthfully, Senator Sanders has no chance either because he's a socialist, and America will never vote for a socialist as commander-in-chief. Be that as it may, Senator Sanders is competing well against Hillary Clinton in the small states of Iowa and New Hampshire. Nationally, he's 25 points down. Still not a bad showing for an uber-left guy. Now, the media loves to mock Donald Trump for dubious things he says, but Sanders makes Trump look like Abraham Lincoln. Here's what Mr. Bernie wants to do. Destroy Wall Street and the big banks. Provide each American with free health care, kind of. He would highly tax affluent Americans to pay for the government-run health care industry. Private health insurance would be outlawed. Also, Bernie wants free tuition at public colleges and universities. Also, free child care for millions of Americans. Also, mandatory family leave, whereby companies would be forced to pay for both men and women to take time off after babies are born. The list of Sanders' freebies is endless. The unintended consequences are simple. A bankrupt nation. The nearly $20 trillion debt would double under a Sanders administration. Also, many American corporations would simply leave the country and go overseas. That would devastate the economy. Does Bernie Sanders not understand any of this? It is simply insane to tell the folks that you will destroy the capitalistic infrastructure.
You've got to break up these huge financial institutions. They have too much economic power, and they have too much financial power over our entire economy. Turns out that they were crooks, and they destroyed our economy.
Again, if Bernie Sanders were ever elected president, the economy would collapse. Companies would flee abroad. The USA would turn into Venezuela. That's why Bernie Sanders will not be president. He is, however, very entertaining, is he not? Especially when he unloads on his opponent, Hillary Clinton.
The leader of Goldman Sachs is a billionaire who comes to Congress and tells us we should cut Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. Secretary Clinton, and you're not the only one, so I don't mean to just point the finger at you. You've received over $600,000 in speaking fees from Goldman Sachs in 1 year.
No, I think she is the only one. I don't know anybody else who's gotten $600K from Goldman Sachs. Now, if Bernie, again, were president, Mrs. Clinton would have to pay the feds most of those Goldman Sachs fees and taxes. Let's take a look at Hillary Clinton's point of view. Like Senator Sanders, she wants the government to pay for, quote, debt-free college education, child care, family leave, free medical insurance for those who have not. Also, she wants equal pay for women mandated in the private marketplace. And with all of that, she believes she can unite Americans.
I would be working in every way that I knew to bring our country together. We do have too much division, too much mean-spiritedness. There's a lot we have to do on immigration reform, on voting rights, on campaign finance reform, but we need to do it together.
Wow, that soundbite sounds like the song Happy Together by the Turtles, one of my favorites, and is just as realistic. Apparently, Mrs. Clinton doesn't understand that more than half the population doesn't trust her, according to recent polls. So how could she possibly bring folks together to drastically change the nation the way she wants to? In the debate last night, Secretary Clinton did not say how she would improve the economy, nor did Senator Sanders. The Democrat platform is to provide. How that would stimulate the private marketplace, one of the great mysteries of the universe. The most surprising thing Hillary Clinton did last night was inject racism into the debate.
1 out of 3 African-American men may well end up going to prison. That's the statistic. I want people here to think what we would be doing if it was 1 out of 3 white men. And very often the black men are arrested, convicted, and incarcerated for offenses that do not lead to the same results for white men.
Mrs. Clinton's 1 in 3 statistic is false, according to the Justice Department. Secretary obviously going for the black vote with her inaccurate statement because Bernie Sanders not attracting much interest in the African-American precincts. On the subject of ISIS, both Clinton and Sanders were amazingly vague.
I have a three-point plan that does not include American ground forces. It includes the United States leading an air coalition, which is what we are doing, supporting fighters on the ground.
Muslim troops should be on the ground with our support and the support of other major countries. That is how we destroy ISIS.
So somehow, magically, Bernie Sanders is going to convince Muslim nations to launch a ground war against ISIS. Gee, I wonder why no one else has ever thought of that. And I'm sure there are some called Muslim nations are lining up to fight on the ground. Sorry for the cynicism, but Talking Points has pretty much had it with political BS on both sides. Both Clinton and Sanders well know the Obama administration has allowed ISIS to grow in power. Neither one of them has any realistic solution to stop that. And this is the headline in the debate last night. Much of what the candidates said is simply unrealistic. Apparently, Bernie Sanders doesn't understand there is a Congress that makes laws in America. His crazy left vision of government running the economy and everything else would never pass. Most of his proposals wouldn't even get to a vote. Hillary Clinton made it clear she's running as Barack Obama's second, pretty much saying he's been a successful president and she would carry on his programs. One more point. Do you really believe that if Sanders or Clinton are elected president, they can unilaterally destroy banks, insurance companies, and drug companies? Do you really believe that? If Bernie Sanders starts to punish American drug companies, research and development of new drugs stops cold. And those companies, as mentioned, go overseas. You can sell aspirin from anywhere. Hillary Clinton's not as extreme as Sanders, but she's a big fan of Obamacare. However, 52% of Americans are not big fans, according to a recent CBS News poll. So all in all, if the Republicans cannot beat the Democratic Party in 2016, when will they ever beat it? But you know what? The GOP is so confused, the leadership so divided, that Hillary Clinton could win. She could win. And that's the memo.